Hey there, beautiful souls. As we start out this year of 2026, I want to be here with you and join us together in community and connection to really make this year 2026 one of impact for all of us. We all are here to make an impact. We all know what that is. Some of us more clear than others, perhaps, and it changes over time, perhaps. Whatever it is, wherever you are, I'm so glad that you're here today for this episode. This is my inaugural full episode of Lead Loving Life, now with the rebrand under my Lead Loving Life business umbrella. And I am so glad that you're here. Like I said before, I am very excited about a lot of things. This new year coming up is going to be a big one, as I shared a little bit about in the bonus episode last week. And I want you to be ready for that because there's so much available to us and there's so much impact that we can make individually and collectively. And I know you want to be part of that. So, as we start out our episode today, I want to talk a little bit about how to best get ready for this year and set yourselves up for success. I'll be doing the same things right alongside you, and you'll notice that I will continue to provide updates and some ideas of ways to expand and increase our impact as we move throughout the year. And the first little session or section of this podcast today is going to be about releasing 2025 and the energies that we brought into it that we want to leave behind and get rid of. I've been working with my clients since November to have them like clear out and release beliefs, things, energies, systems, or lack thereof that don't serve them anymore. And so I'm kind of going to walk you through that a little bit as well. And then we will talk about reflecting on the year in a way that increases your energy and brings back to you the joyful and connected and impactful moments that you enjoyed in 2025. So, first, let's take a minute. And if you're not driving or you're not walking or you have a minute and or you can do this when you get to your calendar, I want you to go back and look at your calendar over the past year. This is, like I said, what I do myself and I do with my clients, and have you just scan through it. And if you're like me, I have an electronic calendar and I color code things so that I do a lot of different things, and I want to make sure that I capture all of that in terms of how I'm spending my time and my energy. So I go back and I look at the color coding that I have and what blocks of time I spent where. And even if you don't color code, you can still tell where you're spending your time and who you're spending it with, whether you're spending it with your clients in your community, working at your job, and then doing your side business after hours or on the weekends. You will be able to track that. And I want you to really lean into that process in a non judgmental way. This is not about shaming yourself. This is not about not enough. In fact, it's just the opposite. It's about really leaning in and understanding the impact that you had on yourself by this calendar and this type of schedule and on others. So, were those where you want them to be? We all have times in our calendars and in our lives where, there's a lot going on and we are exhausted and kind of overbooked and all of that. So let's just put that out there. It's not always unicorns and rainbows, and there are tough times. And that's part of life. And I really believe that it helps us be more integrated by having a range of experiences and a spectrum of emotions throughout any period of time, particularly when you look back over a year, because that's quite a long time. So, looking back at your calendar, and leaning into the energy that you felt, the energies that you shared during the past year. What was their impacts? What were the ways in which you felt and that you had others feel? Your clients are a great mirror. They share back with you their the impact they're receiving from you. They share back with you the goals that they've accomplished, the things that have shifted in their lives, the progress that they've made, the growth that they've made. What about yourself? What are the answers to those questions? What are the observations in those key areas for yourself in the last year? So I encourage you to take the time to do that. It doesn't have to be an hours long process. You can pop open your calendar, scan it. I mean, if you're like me, there are key moments that you probably remember without even looking at your calendar, right? I had some great client impact moments that just light me up to my core when I think about them. I'm sure the same is true for you. Clients, community members, family members, whomever you were able to impact. Embrace those and let those fill you up. Because at the end of the day, that energy is what you share out and it multiplies, right? You know, I talk about ripples and ripples and ripples because at the end of the day, the end of our lives, that is what is going to sustain the impact that we're making. We impact others who impact others who impact others who impact others, right? That's the vibe. And that's what we want. It's our legacy in our families, in our businesses, in the places we work, in our communities and the places that we show up. That is what we want at the end of the day. So embrace that feeling of impact that you made in the lives of others. Take that and let it ripple through you and all that you do as much as possible every single day. And then on the other side of the spectrum or towards the other side of the spectrum, I encourage you to look at the times in your calendar and remember the times in your year that were too much, that you did not feel aligned with your truest and best and highest self. The times when you felt run down and worn out and less than impactful, making less than the impact that you wanted to make. And look at what precipitated that. I mean, you can look at your calendar oftentimes and you can say, okay, I can see that is exactly why this scenario happened or why I felt like I wasn't fully restored and my cup was not full enough to be present in the way that I like it to be. And I would encourage you to learn from that and create a schedule as much as possible. Again, I understand there are weeks that just doesn't happen. Trust me, we all have them. I would encourage you to do as much as you can to minimize those and create a buffer around those times so that you can refill your cup and reset and reconnect to those elements within yourself and within your routines and rituals that allow you to show up and be who you want to be and who you need to be to make the impact you're here to make. The other thing is to look at your calendar in your life, not necessarily tied to business or community work, but the life moments that brought you joy. You know, I did the series on joy at the end of the year because it can be so dark when we look outside of ourselves. There's so much going on that, you know, you get caught up in the news, and sometimes it's just too much. And finding these sparks of joy and these moments of joy make all the difference. So I want to encourage you to look at those moments. I would like make notes about all of these things, especially the moments of joy, because those are the things that you want to recreate and the moments of impact, the moments where you knew you made an impact. We want to recreate that. And then the moments you want to let go of, and the energies and the spaces and times and energies that you want to let go of as you move into 2026. So I encourage you to do this as part of a process. Again, it doesn't have to be a long one if you don't have the time or you don't want to spend the time. Put your intention on just letting go of the things that you want to leave behind. Set your intention on making impact and making a greater impact in 2026. Looking at moments of joy. And I'm going to give you another step to look back on moments of joy right now. This one I think is even more powerful than the calendar because it's visual. I'm a visual person and a visual learner. And so I really, really love this part of the process that I recommend and that I engage in often. And that's go back to your phone, your pictures, right? I'm sure you've heard people tell you this in other places. But going back to the beginning of the year in 2025 and scrolling through pictures and having the memories reignited, like you're there, right? Like you can just put yourself back into this amazing space where you were laughing, you were connecting, you were wherever you were. You were outside, you were at the coast, you were at your favorite outdoor place. You were having a great meal with family, with friends. You were out and about listening to music, going to bookstores, going to any kind of events, or just spending time with people that you love, right? It's the moments of joy that are sprinkled throughout our lives. Sometimes we take pictures and we just move on. And if we don't go back and reconnect with those pictures, it's an opportunity lost, right? I feel like we can multiply the joy that we experience by reflecting on it and reliving it, leaning into that and connecting to that spark where we were laughing, where we were just filled with such love and energy of sharing and connecting and beauty and joy. It's sometimes overlooked in the moment, especially if we're trying to get pictures and all of those things. So I encourage you to do this now for 2025 and going forward. I encourage you to do it every month. I know that some of us do a monthly reflection on socials and we go back and we kind of pick our favorite pictures and do a collage and post those. I would encourage you that if you're not doing that, to do it, even if you just do it for yourself. Go back and create a collage or just look at the pictures and think, wow, that was a great time. That was so much fun. And if there are times that pop up that were not great times, also give them reverence. And they might not have felt the same, but just be grateful for your opportunity to be present in this lifetime and to have the range of experiences and emotions that we get to have. So that is one of my favorite practices. Like I said, at the end of every month, it's wonderful to go back and just look at the moments in month and even cumulatively over the month, right? Seasonally, things change. The backdrop of our pictures change, the things that we do change, and it's just again, it's a spectrum of experiences, a spectrum of energies, emotions of the external environment. So that is, I think, like my favorite process to go through for like kind of releasing and enjoying and not missing out as much on the moments that we've spent in the past year before we move into the next year. And I encourage you to spend some time doing it. As I've said before, I've had my clients do it, I do it, and the feedback is great. And oftentimes it's just carving out some time for yourself to do these things. So, moving on for just a couple of minutes on 2026. 2026 is going to be a big year. And I'll talk more about that as the time comes up as we move forward on the calendar. I shared in my bonus episode that, astrologically and numerologically, it's a big, big year. And if you are tapped into that and connected to that and are using your tools to be present, to lock into your purpose, you are going to connect to power and universal support like you have not seen before, especially once we get into the second quarter, March, well, in March, starting in March, and then April, May after that, and especially the second half of the year. So I would encourage you to kind of file that away. We'll have more conversations about that in more in depth as we move forward. But just know that your opportunity to make a huge impact and live and lead lives that are just next level is so abundant in this coming year. The opportunities are abundant. One of my favorite words, by the way. So I just want you to know that I am here. I am connected to you. I am supporting you every step of the way. I know that we are here in community to make a difference. We are here to make an impact. And by being together in this community, it multiplies, it synergizes, and the energies and the impacts that we make multiply. So thank you for joining me here. Thank you for listening to this very first episode of Lead Loving Life, the podcast. And I want to also encourage you, if you want to learn more about starting a new year, and I have non-traditional feelings about New Year's and resolutions and all of that, go back and listen to the first two episodes of this podcast. I started this podcast a year ago, and the first two episodes, first episode number 1, Rise in 2025, and episode number 2, New Year, the Realest You, is what the synopsis is of that episode, because I don't believe in this whole New Year, New You kind of hooey. I believe that we are challenged to be our most authentic selves and the realist versions of ourselves every day. And as we move into a new year, because of a lot of things, it is an opportunity to really, really step into that version of ourselves. So go back and listen to those episodes. Let me know what you think and reach out. I'm on socials at Leah Loving Life. You can DM me there. There's contact information in the show notes. And we are going to have an amazing year. I am so, so, so excited about it. And till we're together again, be present, keep your vibration high, and keep leading a life that you absolutely love. Big love.